Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the interview, the LA edition. Excited today, man. I got a dear friend here with me today. Y'all may know him as Demetrius, but he is commonly known and internationally known by comedian Juice. Man, thanks for coming in today, bro. I appreciate you.
Yeah, I like that intro. Let's get it started. I like that. Yeah.
So this is your first time tuning into this show. This is the interview, the LA edition, where I love to interview what I like to consider people who have made legendary moves and that's from LA. A lot of people come to LA and do things, right? And the story gets told, but the people who are right here at home don't get the same kind of stories told. So that's what I'm here to do. Man, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do.
I'm comedian Juice. I'm a stand-up comedian, father, entrepreneur, mentor. I got to wear a lot of hats. I mean, we'd be here all day if I name them all, but that's pretty much what I do for the most part. I kind of use me being who I am, and I use that to create good energy and create good vibes, and I use that to give back, and then we use that to create dollars off of it.
Now, for people who just now meeting you, you've traveled and toured around the country.
Yeah.
Doing shows, man. I mean, you've been on multiple tours. You put your own tours together. You've headlined with some of the biggest names in the industry. So you are definitely somebody that's considered, in my book, definitely somebody that's legendary out of LA. So you from LA. Yeah. Tell everybody, I know you always say it's one of your bits, right? You always say that, LA, I grew up everywhere, but tell people a little bit about how you grew up. And where you from in LA, because LA is just you can be in the valley.
I always say I'm like the most LAist nigga in LA, because like I lived like in almost every city in LA. So I started in Compton. That was like one of my birth city was Compton, but I lived in Gardena. I lived in Hawthorne, Lawndale, San Pedro, Culver City, East LA, West LA, South Central, Watts. We'd be here all day. Basically all over in LA. My mom was a single parent, so we was just kind of on the go, and she was like moving fast, hustling. So like we was just moving. We moved around so much, I stopped making friends. I didn't even want people's names. I don't need it. I'm not gonna be here that long. But based on that, I've been just kind of finding my way of navigating through these LA streets, finding my path, finding my entrepreneur spirit, and just been building from there.
Now, what would you say kind of like was your experience growing up? Was it tough? Was it easy? I mean, I know a little, like I said, I know a little bit about you, but I want to hear from you. I knew that you had definitely a rough childhood. How was that growing up in LA?
It was tough. Looking back at it now, I know how tough it was. And that's why, like, as a comedian, I'm always expressing my jokes come from real places and real things I really go through or experienced or saw growing up throughout my 34 years of being on this earth and living in all these cities. So sometimes it hits you, it really hit home because you reliving these things. But in the moment, it didn't seem as tough because, you live in life. You just think this is what life's supposed to be, or it is at the moment. But living in a motel, I knew it was different because like a lot of my friends were struggling and didn't have much. But I'm like, damn, we got even less than them. So it was like, at least they got separate beds and they got rooms. Me and my family, we really lived in a motel for a few years and in one room together, stacked up on each other, basically like blocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
and then just to get a clear perspective, like you and your family, how many of it was y'all living in this? We want people to get a vivid picture of what it was like for Juice growing up.
So it was my mom, it was my stepdad, it was my brother and sister. I got a joke about it and I say it was 11 people, and I'd be like, it was 2 of them just came with the room. But that's what it felt like, because even with just the 5 people, we're in one room, we got one TV, it was a motel, it wasn't a hotel, so it wasn't luxury. It was just enough to get us to survive as my parents was figuring out the next move, which ended up taking longer than it was supposed to, because life happened and we say something gonna be 6 months or 8 months, 10 months, but it's on God's time, it's on the universe time. Things sometimes take a little longer.
Now, I mean, how you think that like affected you now? Like, I mean, that's not a lot of people can come from that kind of experience. actually living in a motel, not just staying there a few nights, but you said what, a few years?
Yeah, a few years.
And what was
Off and on.
the age range that you were experiencing this?
So it was off and on. So it was I would say it was the age from like six to like 9, and then again maybe middle school from like 13 till I was like 16. So 2 different times, maybe 3 years separate situations. It was crazy because I was in middle school. I went to like I was living in we was living in Hartdon, but I was going to school in Lindale at Bud Carson. So that's like when I started like really becoming popular. And that's when I was really in the motel the most. And it was like crazy because it was like I started to see like my power of this me expressing some of the stuff I go through and how I can affect and motivate people. But I wasn't a comedian, I'm 13-year-old kid is just, cracking jokes because like everybody talking about me. So I'm like, all right, let me talk about myself too. So y'all stop talking about me, then y'all shut up. And then, but knowing that was power, then really got me through a lot of those times.
I mean, I can imagine being a teenager living in a motel and then having to.
And kids are assholes too, man. They wasn't like they ain't like they adults, and everybody now people gonna watch this that didn't know I was in the motel. Like, oh my God, Juice, I didn't know. Y'all was assholes. So what? But then they didn't know. So people, we don't know what kids or what we all go through in our separate households. So for me, I became a upbeat, talkative person, but I wasn't actually like that. I was quiet. I was like to myself, like I am now, but people brought that out of me because I got tired of people talking about me. I got tired of people attacking me or you live in a motel, you don't have no club. I got real life problems going on. We don't care about
that.
Right,
and at a young age.
Come on, bro. I'm 6 years old. I gotta watch my brothers. I gotta watch my sister. My mom's selling drugs. My mom don't want to do that, but she lost her job from being a nurse. So she got 3 kids. She got to figure it out. I ain't got time for what you talking about. So for me, I had to like find a way to cope with it. So.
And I mean, like, what would that? Because I know some kids like, oh, I want to go to I want to pull up to your crib. Like, how'd you navigate that process?
It wasn't no pulling up to the motel.
I know somebody say, yeah,
it wasn't no pull up to the motel. You better have a card for incidentals or something. Hilarious. But I really didn't really have friends that pulled up, or I never got close to people. Like I said, I moved around so much. So for me, I just did my thing. I was funny at school, and I was funny when I was around people. Outside of that, I went back home because back home I had to go out and go find us way to eat. I had to go do those hustles and steal some noodles from 99-cent store, get us some cookies and some 3 sodas so we can eat. I had to really do that. So that was the focus. It wasn't friends. I didn't give a damn about friends. I had my brother, sister, my mom. I wanted to keep my mom because my mom she was on survival mode, and I know at 6 you're not supposed to know what that looked like, but I saw that. So I'm like, yo, let me help as much as possible because my mom could do some radical thing at any moment, and that was kind of what it was.
Yeah, that's man, that's deep, man. I like one of my best friends, rest in peace, Robert Jackson. He lived at a motel, and I guess that was a common thing for.
Yeah, I didn't even know.
Yeah, he did that, and then we didn't realize so we was later in life. Like, oh, you had less than people who actually didn't have nothing. Yeah. So I know you also talk about this a little bit more into your childhood. You also talk about how you was in special ed and how that actually.
Facts.
gave you the, I guess, either confidence or gave you the realization that, yo, I can really get into this comedy world. But yeah, talk a little bit about your experience in special ed, because you often joke about it, but I want to hear, you kind of tell more about that and get in deep. What was that experience like?
Yeah. So this is dope because it's all connected. And that's why now people are like, oh wow, how you a stand-up comedian? You're a father, you rent out cars, you got Airbnbs, you travel, you got tour. Because when I was 6, I had to do 90 things to survive. So why I'm not gonna do it at 34? I learned how to master doing 100 things at once because I had to eat. So, but back then at that time, right, I was living in a motel and I was also in special ed. So then that was the other thing because I'm at home. Being an adult, like literally cooking for my brothers and sisters. My mom, like, yo, I gotta go out, lock the door, don't open it for nobody. Bet I'll call you. Boom, I'm doing that. Making sure they're not choking, making sure nobody is fighting, doing that. And then in school, I'm in special ed. And people that's watching at home, I'm in a room all by myself. I'm so comfortable because it felt like my special ed class. I'm in the class by myself. I'm in class with 2 or 3 people. So it did something to my brain because I'm like, yo, like, how you gonna tell me I'm not normal or I'm less than normal? And then so I had to like develop thick skin. And so that's what I did because that's what needed to be done.
I mean, that's deep. I mean, like I said, because
Yeah.
a person meeting today would be like, well, why would he be? Why couldn't he? Why was he? Why were you in special ed? Is what everybody wanted. Like, why? Why was you that bad at school, or was it was the behavior? What was it? Because some people in special ed just because they can't, they acting a fool in class. Or maybe you was just too much of a class clown.
Yeah.
So, or was it that, or was it because you just really couldn't understand the material?
So, as you see, people know like that know me. I know I'm smart, like I'm intelligent. But at the time when I was a kid, I had a speech impediment, so I didn't know how to articulate how smart I was because my brain was way faster than my lips. So like I'll say, process whatever, I'll get the information, or I'll know who I'm talking to, what I'm talking about, and I'm so excited to give it to you because I did the homework, I mapped out, I studied this, and when it's time to give it to you, it come out like and it'd be like, what did he say? And so because of that, I got placed in special ed, and then also I had anger problems. I mean, like I told you, at home I was basically a father at 6. So I had anger problems. I had my mom. Sometimes we'd bump heads because as you giving me all these responsibilities and giving me all these roles to do as a 6-year-old, I also feel like I'm an adult now because I'm doing all these roles. So now we bumping heads. Now we getting into a lot, and I'm 6, and I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with being in special ed, not having nobody I can express it with. And I'm dealing with not having my family around because my mom was a black sheep. We didn't mess with our family, so all these things kind of made me just like either quit or suck it up and find a way. So I just got thick skin and just, dealt with it. I'm all right. I know I'm not special dumb. You feel me? I know I'm like everybody else, regular dumb, which is one of my jokes that I wrote.
That's funny. Yeah. Regular dumb.
I'm just like y'all. You feel me? Like, and so, but it was real. So I had to battle that. And even to this day, like as successful or as most all these accomplishments everybody say I've done or do, to me, I'm still trying to prove I'm not special dumb. Because for so many years, I'm in these classes by myself and they're like, do this, do that. You got to do this, sit down. I was in special ed from 1st grade to 12th grade, like basically with no other regular person I could sharpen myself after. You feel me? I didn't have nobody. Iron sharpen iron. I had no iron. I had to sharpen myself. That mentally do something to you. So even as an adult, I'm still sharpening. Like I'm still dealing with that, but we dealing with it, but it's a process. That's why I go back and I talk at these schools and I go back and I share my story and I'm open with my life because I know that I lost hope at a young age, and I'll be damned I'm gonna let another kid lose hope like that.
No, that's man, that's deep because like you said, using special ed from 1st grade to 12th grade, and then at some point you probably just got placed in there because you was already in there.
So then I'm moving around too, Keith. People. So now they got the R, that what's called the RSP. What's it called?
I know you're talking about. Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah. You got the paper trail on me now. Now you got all you doing is moving into East School. They transferring. So now
they ain't even testing me.
They're not even testing me. They're not even talking to me. They're not even seeing when I'm developing. They're not even seeing what I'm going through. They're not even seeing my pain. They're not even seeing the potential. They're just seeing the paper. I'm more than a paper.
Yeah.
So I just went with it. Like, I bet I'm just gonna keep coloring when everybody else is doing work, and I'm gonna teach myself. And I taught myself at 6 all the way until I got here. I trusted God, and I just kept searching the information because I knew I wasn't special dumb.
Right. I mean, even in high school, which is probably the most challenging part of this whole process, because in high school, like you said, it's deep. People are pretty much adults, and now. And you on a basketball team, so now you got popularity.
I was blessed in high school though, because by high school I already mastered how to
maneuver through that.
For me, it was easy. Like high school was, I knew I was in class like Jews. Teacher, my classmates just pee on themselves. All right, man. I was just going with the flow. I didn't care. I was like, whatever. I knew I was already making money. I was already hustling. I was already popular on basketball. I was already had people talking. I already knew then. So then it was just about not doing no work through these 4 years, keeping my brain fresh. So when I get out here, hustle, I could run up a bag.
So it got to a point where you took advantage of it. Like, oh, y'all gonna let me slide like this? Oh, I'm out of here.
I ain't sure. I said, if I remember one year, my sophomore year, I remember I read the paperwork. I'm like, oh, they said that he can't sit still for very long. He has attention deficit. I'm like, bet. Hey, I told the teacher, hey, maybe I told him at the meeting, I said I can't stay in the class long. Maybe when for 2 blocks every hour, you should let me go to the bathroom so I can get some air and think, and that'll make me calm down. I was running out in class selling candy, bro. Come on, man. I was running it up. I'm outside. What? I'm outside getting to it. I learned how to, you feel me? I learned how to maneuver through it. And I was also, when I was outside, I was with all the regular kids and they would see me like a regular person. So I knew I was,
you were straight. Yeah. Yeah, man, that's I'm glad you was able to understand and use it to your advantage at some point, and
it was
use that as power.
It was a struggle.
And which leads me to my next question. I always talk about advantages and disadvantages from whatever experience you have, right? So let's start off with some of the advantages you think that you've already kind of shared one, like you was able to maneuver through school pretty easy, but what advantages do you think that you had? Not only, going through those things, obviously special ed and living in a motel, which had to strengthen you, but also just growing up in LA in general, which is its own set of.
We ain't even got into that. See, this is just schooling at home. That's why I always tell people, and I tell kids, and I share with everybody that's my journey, because if I had all these things against me and I still found a way to be a good person, what's your excuse? What's your excuse? You don't have one. It's people I know that I don't judge. I got friends that's rich. I got friends that poor. I got friends on all levels. But I'd be like, yo, look what I overcame, bro. I could have been the negative person or quit or did this, but I said, no, I'm going to still overcome. It's people that had one thing and go crazy and kill everybody. I had 90 and still didn't.
So, yeah, no, I mean, so to answer the question, what advantages do you think that that you gained from your whole experience from growing up in LA?
Advantages was I learned what real life was early. I had life experience. I learned from experience life, and I learned how to then apply. So a lot of people want to do stuff and want to be goals and be successful, and a lot of people don't have it. I learned that in between stuff of doing the work and how to apply something into it, like watch an interview, take notes, see what that person didn't do, see what I can do, add it to mine, next day, apply it, get to the bag, apply the next thing. I learned that, and then I learned life ain't given to me every day, not guaranteed. So I go out and get it every day. Every day is my greatest day. Every show, my greatest show. Every joke, my greatest joke. Every breath, my greatest breath. Yeah.
So I mean, wherever there's advantage, there's also a disadvantage. So
yeah, for sure.
What do you think? Because now you're well traveled. Obviously, like you said, people that's got the most money in the world, and people who have nothing, and so you're able to see the spectrum from a full perspective, and you can understand. Like, man, if I would have maybe if I had a 2-parent, maybe once in a hotel, I could have been there. Or so, what disadvantages do you think that you've had to overcome due to your growing up experience?
Me moving around so much, I had to attach emotionally. That became a normal thing. So it's like people like I got friends that I love and people I love and see all the time, but I'm so used to being by myself. I'm so used to moving, so used to grinding, it's like.
No, I can imagine that, because being that being your experience.
Yeah, so it's like
it's kind of that's
even personal. It's just like I don't know how to have a group of friends to see everybody every week. I don't know how to check on I was in a motel by myself. I was going to play basketball across the street, trying to find a way out by myself. I was putting on my own string shoes, walking to the park, working myself out. I was reading my own books when they said I couldn't read. I was outside reading when I was reading outside of school. I wasn't reading at school. I ain't reading these books and ain't about to educate my brain and get me to where I need to be. It's keeping me stagnant. I ain't staying stagnant.
Yeah, that's man, and I could definitely see how that could be a disadvantage, because like you said, it's hard to allow yourself now to just be at a place where you can talk to people on their love language. They gotta talk to you on yours. You know what I mean?
Everything gotta be on my time.
Yeah.
And everybody, it makes it seem like I'm selfish or like everything is about you, but I don't know how to be nothing else.
Right.
I didn't even know. I'm still adapting to success. I'm still adapted to. Only reason I'm not the biggest star in comedy because I didn't want to be. I didn't want to. I got to a place I was like, nah, too many people know me now. And then I sabotaged my own career by making moves or decisions that wasn't in the best interest of my career.
You know, that's interesting that you say that. You self-sabotage. Let's jump into your career as a comedian.
Yeah.
What made you decide that you was gonna go this route of being a professional comedian?
The struggle, the pain.
I mean, like, well, I know there's, you know, obviously experience, but was there like a specific thing that happened? Like, yeah, now I'm going to go this route.
Nah, it was just like being transparent as I can be. It was just like it was so much stuff that was happening so often, so consistent that it was no way that I wasn't going to find a way to voice it to the world some type of way. Cause it was too extreme. It was like, this is what? Like what? So I felt like throughout the process, as long as I kept getting searching for the information and was living, it was gravitating to me without me knowing it. Because then after a while, I saw something that happened really bad. I'm like, wow, that's funny. And this is before I'm even a comedian. And I retell my friends it. But at the time, I didn't know. I never saw nobody that was doing what I was doing, that was struggling and what I was struggling, that was in pain and what I was in pain, that could take this and then make money and monetize it at the time. I didn't know that was a thing. I just knew it was famous comedians, Eddie Murphy. I didn't know it was. I don't know how to write jokes. I just know how to talk about this. I didn't know that was a thing until later on when I was blessed by me just living life and traveling and meeting people. Because even though I'm a comedian, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a hustler first. That's first. I'm gonna make money first. So because of that, I always be indoors that most comedians don't be in. That helps me because I meet more of these people. And that's what got me into comedy because I worked my way in rooms and was in the NBA circle and in these high level entertainer rooms. I'm at the Clipper games, I'm at the Laker games, and I'm in the green room, I'm in the family room, and everybody laughing, everybody all attention on me. Comedian come up to me like, yo, you a comedian? Like, nah, just juice. Like, you should do comedy. Run that. Where at? We got to it since.
So somebody just came to you and was like, hey, you should do this in a professional way, and you just said, yep, and that was it.
Yeah, because I already kind of knew what comedy was a little bit, and I already knew I was funny, and I already had so many people. I remember I'm around, like, this is back when the Clippers was hot. I'm around Chris Paul, I'm around DeAndre, I'm around all these people, and the entertainers is laughing like, yo, you need to do this, and I'm just like, nah, I just want to be cool. So it was already there, so I was already like kind of leaning towards it. And then the guy was so cool. He like, yeah, I just started a room. He was like, you can just promote. I'll make you a flyer, show up, bring people. And I let you do 10 minutes. I also will take you to a couple of mics. So we did that. And then the next week, I knew so many people. So I was like 60 people pull up, boom, went on stage. Wasn't good, but it was enough that it got my interest because I got a couple of laughs. I got a little laughs. And I played basketball and I was the weakest dude on my team. And I worked hard to be solid. So I know if you put in the work with a little bit of something, you could go along. But because I was so much closer with comedy than I was with basketball, I knew comedy was going to work. And so from there, I knew it.
And that goes from, your brand layups to stand-ups, right?
Layups to stand-up. And then from jump, there go the hustler coming in. I'm not just going to transit based on my life lessons. How can I connect everything? I said, boy, I play basketball. I still want to be involved in basketball. I still want people to know I'm that dude. Layups, that's layups. But now I do comedy too. Stand-up, layups to stand-up. Okay. And then from there, I built a nonprofit, build a business around me and jokes.
And I when we first met, which was years ago at this point, right?
Man.
And I remember you were always talking about how you worked at El Pollo Loco. Was that your first job, or was that that was just your job while you were doing I would say
that was when I started comedy. That was my job when that was that job. So it's always gonna be that job. But by that time I was like my 50th job.
Right, of course, right. So I mean, and even then, like I remember at one point you kind of kept the job at El Pollo Loco because it was kind of it made people more interested in the unsuccessful, successful comedian
Yeah, I
kind
saw
of,
that.
right?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that
so I
early.
think that was a good ploy.
Yeah.
Are you still using any type of strategy like that now?
Not yet, kind of, because the thing about it, it wasn't a ploy. It was real because I really had bills and I really needed those checks. People don't understand, like, comedy don't pay the bills, especially when you a new comedian just starting your first couple of years. You got to show and put in the work. You got to get out there and figure out your audience, your crowd, how to be funny, how not to be funny, how to be professional, how to carry yourself. That take time. So when I was doing that, I already saw people because I was already in the industry. Like I said, I was already around Kevin Hart. I was already around all these celebrities because of the people I knew, because I was around the Russell Westbrooks, the Eric Bledsoes. I was able to be around. I saw how they did business. I saw what they was on. So when I got into it, I was on that from jump. I ain't coming in on no regular. I'm coming on some bars, high level. We're going to run it up and make it make sense.
So tell me about one of the, I guess, in that, because you are in the entertainment industry and you've been around some most important people in the industry. Give me a story that people don't know. Like I want a crazy story, man. I know you got some sitting back there that most people don't know about since you've been, at this level in the industry.
In terms of what? Because like that, I was in special ed, Keith. Like you gave me too many. You got to sharpen it up.
Okay,
bro.
no, I got you.
I mean,
okay.
We was having a good interview my brain said.
I mean, like maybe at a show. Like give me one of the crazy stories at a show that you felt like
All right, I got it. So my first third year in comedy, because again I kept my job at El Pollo Loco. Going back to wrapping up that before, because it paid for my comedy. It paid for my flyers. It paid for my layups to stand up logo. It paid for my deposit for the comedy union for $250. It paid for me to get flyers to go promote. So I kept the job, and then on top of it, when people showed up and I was like, "Welcome to El Pollo Loco. How can I help you?" I promoted to every customer that walked in, because I was funny and I was gifted. So I made sure I took advantage of my personality. I made sure I had great hospitality. I was teaching myself to run my own club, to run my own team, to be my own boss. But in that moment, I knew that. So I did the work, and I worked as though I make money like I make now.
So, I mean, I still want that story from
hilarious, nigga. You see, I tried to.
I still
gave you a good story in between it. That was like motivation. Somebody at home motivated by it. They're like, "Oh, I can do it too."
No, I mean, because I can imagine, like I said, you've been in these clubs and people drink. I mean, it got to be some crazy stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if you got a story that you don't mind sharing.
Not that I could just top of my head think of, like, cause like I'm 30. I'm 34. It's a reason I'm 34. I don't be around then. I'm out.
Okay, so let me ask you this way: What's one of your most memorable shows that you've done?
Okay. Well, like, and I get one of my shows. Russell Westbrook got traded on the day right before, on the night of our show. We was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He got traded like literally like 30 minutes before I was about to go on stage. They like, "Yo, you just got traded to Houston." And we in Tulsa and everybody. And the news spread into it. It was at the Cane's Ballroom in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had over 1,000 people there, packed, sold out, media everywhere. Like, we've been promoting it everywhere on the news. We get the news, it sucker right through the whole venue, and just get quiet. And then at the time, my homegirl, my event coordinator Aisha, she come up to me like, Russell just got traded. I'm like, "Oh, for real?" I'm like, "Where he at?" And then go check on him. We start talking, and then they're like, "Yo, but the show got to start." And I'm just like, I didn't know what to do. So but I went on stage, broke the ice, cracked jokes, make sure I showed him love, make sure that city got to embrace him one last time. And it was a great ass night. It was like a couple of documentaries, couple of things popped off after that because of Tulsa. Like, that's to this day one of my biggest markets is in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which I'll be there at the end of the month. I'm excited to go back.
So let me ask you, what do you think one of the greatest challenges is, or maybe not is for everybody, but maybe just for you, but if there's a common challenge, what do you think one of the greatest challenges is to make it in comedy?
Believing in yourself.
I mean, that's with anything, you gotta believe in yourself. But you
Yeah,
think
but
that
like really, like let me tell you, like really
Mhm.
believing in yourself. Like, because really, when you really believe in yourself, you're gonna put your own money up, you're gonna put your own time up, you're gonna put your own energy up. You're not gonna wait on nobody. You're gonna get it done. I'm not talking about the fake believe in yourself. People don't really believe in themselves. It's if you believe, it's believing in yourself
was that what was difficult for you?
nah.
So what about you personally? What you think was one of the greatest difficulties? I mean, because the reason why I'm saying it, because I remember earlier you said self-sabotage, so I really want
For
to
me, mine's
curve into that.
I think mine's was, I guess you could say it was believing in yourself. I guess, honestly, I guess, yeah. I guess it was, because if I'm sabotaging myself or I'm not trying to allow myself to go on a higher platform, that's me not believing I can handle it, right?
So tell me, like, what specifically do you think that you've done to self-sabotage your career?
So what I overly help. I overly give my time. I overly give my energy. When my energy supposed to be on my, I'm supposed to be the number one, the biggest comedian in comedy right now, but I focus my energy on everybody else rather than myself for years, putting other people on tour, putting other people on this, putting other people in these platforms, putting other money people in other people's pocket. I'm not Kevin Hart yet. I'm supposed to kept that money, used it for myself, invest in myself, which I'm doing now, which is working now, which we're growing now, which I am on all platforms globally, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Prime, independently. Please check it out, by the way.
So I mean, because when you think about self-sabotage, you mean,
Yeah.
like, most of the time I feel like I've done it before too, and I try to be aware of that when things are maybe going too well. And I always say people fear success as much as they fear failure.
That's true.
You know, because it's changed. It don't matter which way it is.
I agree.
So has there been a time where you was like, man, I'm, like you said, you're supposed to be the biggest comedian in the world right now, and outside of focusing on other people, which, you know, we've done that.
Yeah.
But what do you feel like you've done to yourself or not let yourself do to self-sabotage yourself?
It goes back to what I said earlier. I didn't allow, I was deep. I didn't allow myself to connect. I was deep. I wanted to stay. I wanted to stay juiced, not connected, and be the biggest star in comedy. When I couldn't, I had to reconnect, which I had to learn how to connect, because again, I've never learned that skill. So I had to connect again with the people. I had to open my ears. I had to open my heart. I had to get closer to God. I had to really embrace where I'm trying to go and what I didn't do to get there to do it.
What do you say has been one of the greatest successes that you've had since you've been doing comedy?
Everything. Everything. Just the fact, everything, because it was all created from here. It was all from here, created from there. It was not in, it wasn't in the universe before. I'm a person that lived in a motel, that didn't have a dad, that didn't have a blueprint, that couldn't read, that started listening to audios nonstop, started listening to podcasts nonstop, and then start reading, and then learn how to do agreements and contracts and run a business and be a father and be a comedian. So everything.
If you can go back, say to the beginning of your career, what would you have done differently?
I would have did it. I would have sold into myself the way I sold into everyone else in the beginning of my career, and for the first maybe 10 years of my career. I would have sold into myself and then came back and got everybody else, which what most people do. But that's probably my greatest.
Yeah. So you are a new father recently.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And what a life change that is.
Yeah.
How has that changed your life or perspective on life since you've been a new father? Because now you have 2 daughters, correct?
I have a son.
I'm sorry, son. Yeah, the daughter and the daughter's the oldest, and you have a son, right?
2-year-old and a 1-year-old. Yeah.
What's that like, man? You know, now you've been a father. You went from not having one to being one. So
yeah, man. It's healing, man. It's teaching me how to love. It's teaching me how to, like I said, everything is in the universe. I believe is happening for a reason. It's teaching me how to connect. My daughter, since she being here, has been healing my heart. And then my son came to re-put that. They come in here and they get all with C-Mids. So it's reconnecting me. It's teaching me love. It's giving me all the stuff I didn't get because I was out in the streets trying to figure out life.
Yeah, I always say, like, when you have a kid, that's the first time you're really going to be able to give unconditional love. We receive it from our parents, but then you have to give it out.
Yeah,
and it's for them, they can do no wrong, you know, almost.
Yeah,
and I mean, so if you know, now that you have kids, you know, you, like I said, you went from not being a father to being one. How do you expect what kind of father do you expect for yourself to be? Because you are like essentially a new father, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
you have now, I mean, you got a long journey. I mean, you got a whole lifetime ahead of you.
yeah.
What do you expect from yourself as a father?
I mean, I mean, I can't kind of. I was gonna say I kind of know what to expect, but yeah, I do know what to. I'm gonna be a great. I am a great dad. Like I'm a great person. Like I'm a great everything in life. I try to be great. So I do the same with being a dad more so than anything else because of all my jobs. My greatest job is being a father. So I already know I'm gonna kill that because I kill everything. I trust God and I put in the work. So I'm there with my babies every day. I appreciate them because I know when I was out by myself in these streets, when I was out, like my mom passed away 2 years ago. I'm out here. Like I don't have my mom, my dad. We and him just rekindled our relationship like 2 weeks ago, but he's still like we like friends. We got to ease up to be in that. So for me to have them, I make sure I love on them every day. I make sure I play with them every day. I make sure we laugh every day. I make sure they get the best of me every day. And I even though I just now have kids, I've been teaching other people kids. I've been talking at schools for over 10 years. I got a couple of millionaires that's my little homies out here getting to the bag. So I'm not new to being a teacher. I'm new to being a father and teaching from the very beginning of someone that's not broken or that's not tainted. So for me, I really cherish that because man, that's the greatest thing is just that I know what that's like not to be like that. So yeah.
Word. And like I think having, like I said, having kids really changes a lot, changes your perspective. Right now, you come from a person who didn't have to care about them or not used to caring about other people, except just and like you said, you moved around so much, so your friendship didn't last long. So I agree with you that made you always not get too close or let people get too close, even with that. Do you feel like you have that issue with your children? Like as far as like loving them or feeling like you're not giving enough affection, or you just totally on the opposite side of that?
Because even though I am detached myself to people or to stuff a lot and like emotionally, I still care. I have a big heart. That's why I give so much. Like I've donated over $1 million of charity in my own money last year alone from giving out. That to the point that I was struggling in the beginning of this year because I'm giving out too much to help. So I have a huge heart. It's just that's why I'm disconnect because people take advantage of it. People overly want my help. People overly want my time, overly want my energy. But with my babies, it's not like that. You feel me? They're my babies. So then it's like a connection there. Is just naturally they get it all. And they give it to me enough where I could then allow myself to give it to people a little bit more.
So just a fun question I like to ask too, because now that you are where you are in your career, you're obviously your cell is fully set on you becoming like I said, not just a comedian, but you're an entrepreneur. You're a business person.
Mobile.
Yeah. So right. So but I always tell people, man, if I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, I'd be a football coach for some reason. I always wanted. That's something that I just love. I love what you get to do. If you wasn't doing comedy, and I'm gonna take basketball off the list too, right? So no basketball. What would you do differently? What's another career path you would have chose? You think for Juice?
Chico, I rent cars.
I mean, you do that already. So like, I mean, but like as you're like not as just an entrepreneur, that's the best your business. But what would you? Because like right now you are.
Oh, I thought that could be an answer.
Yeah, I mean, what I mean is like you lead right now as a comedian. For a person who meets you today, they're gonna say you're a comedian, and then they're gonna understand your business acumen of what you do, right? And just like Kevin Hart, he's a comedian, but that's not what he really is. He's everything, right? So, but what other, what would you do?
I don't know. Whatever I want. I can make whatever I want. I will put in the same principle. Even when I start a new bit, I use the same. I would have.
Quan said you'd be a PE teacher.
Hilarious. Nah, hell no. I love kids, but I get irritated. And again, I so into too much, too fat. It'd be too much. I was actually a coach for a minute, a JV coach, but then I was overly buying them kids shoes. I'm like, why they not sponsored like the varsity? And I'm using my own money. Again, I had to learn how to delegate my love. Right. And my affection of the world. Because I'll be I'm like, I got the Tupac signal. I want to fix and save everybody. That's why I wear glasses. Because I'll be driving and I'll be connecting with homeless people. I'll be like, pull over, give them. But that's why I'm trying to balance that out. And it's tough though. It's tough. I've been I be going through depression so much dealing with that. The fact that I'm trying to save the world, like, but that's just what it felt like I was here to do.
No, for sure. I mean, I think for sure if you're a person like yourself, like myself, and you're on a path to greatness and you constantly are challenged, I think depression is one of those things that you're going to have to see at one point, you know, and in many different ways and many times, right? Many times.
So
many times.
Go your bank account get negative. You have to move out, downgrade your house.
For sure.
I actually went through that process right now. I actually I had a talk with my team and just with God. I talked with God separately, and I'm just like, God, like, you ain't gonna get to. It's time. It's time. You gotta rely on strictly on the gift that I gave you. Go tell these no. They don't worry about how much money you make in a week, a month. Go loot, go, and that's what we just focusing strictly on comedy right now.
Yeah, man. I think for a business person out there, if you surviving, congratulations.
Yeah,
you know, if you surviving doing what you love to do, congratulations, because that's tough enough.
Yeah.
I talked about this a little earlier, man. I like to ask this question because it really gains some perspective and allow us to think about what we would say or what we would do when that time comes. Because no matter what, when you are born, you sign a contract to die. On the day you're born, right? And I like to give the opportunity to share thoughts before that even happens. But today was your last day. What's the message you want to leave your daughter? Because the beautiful part about this is that she's gonna be able to see this one day.
For sure. And it's crazy because the beautiful about that is that I think that all the time when I perform. I think that all the time when I write jokes. I think that all the time. So that's why I'm really thinking about my message, because I want to I've already been doing that. So I want to make it all aligns. But I would just tell her to have faith and believe in what I taught her, and believe in what God bless her to have. Finish the work, finish the job.
And what about your son?
Help your sister. Here to work.
Right.
I know for a fact I'm here for a reason, and I'm here to change the world. How can I not put that pressure or not say my kids are not here to do the same? They ain't got to go through the same turmoil or be in a motel or be without, because they good, but they're here to know what their dad and also their mother's story, what we were able to do as entrepreneurs and comedians and do for our people. So now they have opportunities to now do for our people in a way we couldn't, because they got to kickstart.
Right. Yeah, you're definitely a long way from how you grew up, right?
Yeah, they gonna. I think back, man. If me being with the heart, because my daughter got my heart, my son got my heart. They already see me in them. They there. I think, man, if I had a kickstart and I want to give and help the world, and I had a couple of M's to it to get started, we would have got to it so much quicker, so much easier, so much less depression, so much less wasting time, so much less doubt. I'm doing that. They got that. Let's do that. So that's what it's for. Help more people do it. Teach one, reach one.
What would you want to share with your siblings?
What do you mean,
your brother and sister? Is there a message you want to leave them?
They already know what it is. Everybody that rock with me already know what I'm on every day. I lost so many people through death, through drugs, through prison, through everything throughout this journey at 34. I've been on stage. I performed and had two people. My mom died on Monday, and then my granddad died on a Thursday, and I was telling jokes on a Friday. So I don't live life with nothing. They already know. Every day, every moment, everybody that's watching, my fan, everybody know my energy all the time. Keith, you know I love you now. So if I ain't here, you know the love's still there. Oh God.
You know, and I'm glad that you said that, and you said it like that, like they already know, because you. And I always say this because most people don't tell their people enough these things. So the fact that you were making sure you let people know that on a daily.
I love
I
on
think-
everybody. If I
yeah.
talk to you, if you come to my show, that's why I overly give. When people DM me, they ain't got money to the show, get to here. That's love. When I comment on y'all comments, that's love. When I pull up to y'all events, that's love. When I tell you can do it, that's love. When I share you with my pain, with the stuff I'm overcoming, what I've done, that's love. All I've gave to the world is love. So I ain't gotta overly give. I keep being me. That's my message to the world. Whatever your love level may not be the level of my love level. I was living in a motel. I've been homeless. I saw people that didn't eat. I went without eating for weeks. I saw how people treat people that didn't eat. I saw how people treat somebody that they say that's mentally disabled, that can't read. I saw these things. You didn't. So you may not have this capacity of love. But whatever love you do got, give it to your max. So people know you love on them. So you ain't got to do the work when you're gone. You already did.
And that's real spit. I like that, man. And much respect, man. It's been a journey. I mean, it's been a journey. It's been a pleasure to join you on your journey,
bro.
man.
You,
Since
bro.
what 2000?
Man.
First time we did this was 2000.
Yeah, man.
16 maybe, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 2016.
If it wasn't farther back, it was so and bro, I'm so proud of you, bro. Like,
thank you, man.
We have done so much, bro. And we have and the level of heart, people don't know watching. It's not like a clap on our back, man. This is things. This interview is created off the universe, God, whatever you believe in, blessing you with the thought, and then you to go out and make it happen, and the stuff that we got to do to make things happen with our events and teams and companies is nothing but will, and you wanted to do it, bro. And I saw you, bro, like you saw me. That's why iron sharpened iron. So that was one of my things when I got to a level of success, when I could breathe. I said, now that I'm not living that life I used to, I'm sharpening myself around dope people so I could become doper. So as dope as I am, it's because I got so many people in the world that's dope, bro, that believe in me. It be people, sometimes I don't be having, people don't be knowing what I be going through, because I be really funding my own projects. I be calling my friend, I need $5,000. They don't even question me sometimes. They just send it. They know I'm gonna give it back. They know that tribe of people through the world, that come from work and us believing in each other. Because without it, Keith, without the next, we all need to have those good conversations, those motivational talks when you get down, because we all get down. I was down this morning and I said, I gotta do an interview with Keith. Let's get it. Because I know he gonna sharpen me up and I'm gonna be ready to do the next project when I get done. So I commend you, bro, and everybody that's watching this, that's gonna watch this. Man, if iron sharpen iron. If you ain't sharp, that means you may need to sharpen up.
Hey, man, I definitely appreciate that, man. And like I said, man, it's been a pleasure and an honor to watch you build, watch you grow, to see. Like I said, you coming from El Pollo Loco, you know.
Now I'm on iTunes, Keith. Look,
yeah,
I'm
I saw
on
that, man.
What? Dog?
Yeah, man.
Oh, man, that's a moment. I'm on. People can pay 99 cents for my jokes that got what?
Yeah.
But it's just a testimony of faith and the work and believing and not giving up. I lost my family to get to this position in my life that I'm at now. I barely get to see my kids. I don't get to see my kids as much as I want to right now because of the journey and the path. But it come with the crown. It's come with the work.
Yeah, it definitely does, man. And like I said, hats off to you, brother. As like I said, man, you've been doing it. You've been nonstop. You've never settled. You've continued to grow. You've continued to grind. And I think a lot of people can look at you as an example of hard work and dedication. And
look, man, we out here, man. Look,
and not really caring about the result as much as you care about the work. And I can say that from what I've seen from you, you've always cared more about the work than you cared about the result.
You gotta fall in love with the work. I learned that early.
I would definitely give you that. If I were to express you, I would say that guy, he cares about the work. Nobody shows up, he's still gonna put everything into the show.
Man.
So man, shout out to you, man. Thank you for joining me, bro. It's been a pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Comedian Juice.